My daughter left me without food or water for 10 days. My neighbor's 8-year-old son brought water through the window. What happened next will shock you completely. The story you're about to listen to changed everything I thought I knew about family, love, and survival. Please like, share, subscribe, and let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm 71 years old, and 10 days ago I thought I was going to die alone in my own room. My name is Elena, and my daughter Rose locked me inside that room without food or water while she went on vacation. But that's not even the worst part. The worst part is what I discovered about myself during those 10 days of hell. Right now, I'm staring at the ceiling, counting the same 47 cracks I've memorized over the past week. My lips are so dry they've started bleeding. My tongue feels like sandpaper against my teeth. The sunlight streaming through the barred window tells me it's morning, but I've lost track of which morning it is. 7 days? 8? Maybe 9? My stomach stopped growling 2 days ago. Now it just burns with this hollow ache that makes me curl up like a child. I can hear my neighbor's dog barking in the distance, probably chasing squirrels in their backyard. Normal sounds from a normal world that feels impossible to reach. The key turned in that lock exactly 10 days ago. I remember because Rose was wearing her new blue dress, the one I bought her for her birthday last month. She was dragging her pink suitcase behind her, the wheels clicking against the hardwood floor. "Mom, I'm going on a business trip," she said, not looking at me. "I'm locking your room for your own safety. You've been wandering around at night, and I don't want you to fall down the stairs." I tried to tell her I wasn't wandering. I was just going to the kitchen for water because my throat gets so dry at night. But she wasn't listening. She never listens anymore. "The trip is important for my career," she continued, checking her phone. "I'll be back in a few days. There's a bottle of water on your nightstand and some crackers in the drawer. Don't make noise. The neighbors will think something's wrong." A few days. That's what she said. A few days. I heard her high heels clicking down the hallway, then the front door slamming shut. Then silence. The kind of silence that makes your ears ring and your heart beat too loud in your chest. That first night, I thought maybe she'd come back. Maybe she forgot something. Maybe she'd realize this was crazy and unlock my door. I sat on my bed, watching the shadows move across the wall as the sun set. When it got dark, I called her name. "Rose? Rose, honey, are you there?" Nothing. I called louder. "Rose, I need to use the bathroom." The silence swallowed my voice like it was never there at all. By the second day, I understood. She wasn't coming back in a few days. This wasn't about my safety or wandering at night. This was about something else entirely, something that made my chest tight with a pain worse than hunger. I keep thinking about how we got here, how my sweet little girl, the one who used to crawl into my bed during thunderstorms, became someone who could leave me to die in a locked room. But thinking hurts almost as much as the hunger, so I try to focus on other things, like the sound of rain against the window last night, like the way the afternoon light makes patterns on the floor. I was 19 when Rose was born, just 19, with a husband who died in a car accident when she was only 3 months old. David never got to see her first steps or hear her first words. He never got to worry about her grades or teaching her to ride a bike. That was all on me. I worked 2 jobs to keep us afloat. During the day, I cleaned offices downtown, scrubbing floors and emptying trash cans. At night, I waitressed at a diner that stayed open until 3 in the morning. I'd come home exhausted, my feet swollen and my back aching, but I'd still check on Rose. I'd watch her sleep and promise her things would get better. "Mommy will take care of you," I'd whisper, brushing her dark hair away from her forehead. "We'll be okay. We'll always be okay." I kept that promise for years. When she wanted dance lessons, I picked up extra shifts. When she needed a dress for prom, I sold my grandmother's ring. When she got accepted to college, I sold the small piece of land my parents left me. It was supposed to be my retirement, but Rose's education felt more important. She was smart. So smart it made me proud and scared at the same time. She'd bring home report cards with straight A's, and I'd put them on the refrigerator like trophies. She'd tell me about her dreams of becoming a lawyer, and I'd nod and smile and work harder to make those dreams come true. "You're going to be somebody special," I'd tell her. "You're going to have everything I never had." And she did. She graduated from college with honors. She got a good job at a law firm downtown. She married a man named James who wore expensive suits and drove a car that cost more than I made in 2 years. She moved into a big house with a swimming pool and a 3-car garage. I was so proud that sometimes I'd cry just thinking about it. My little girl had made it. She was somebody special, just like I always said she would be. But somewhere along the way, something changed. The calls became shorter. The visits became less frequent. When she did come by, she'd look around my small apartment with this expression I couldn't quite read. Not embarrassment, exactly, but something close to it. "Mom, this place is getting too much for you," she'd say, straightening magazines on my coffee table. "You're getting older. You need help." I didn't feel old. I felt tired sometimes, sure, but not old, not helpless. But Rose had made up her mind. She'd found a solution. "Come live with us," she said one day, and my heart jumped with joy. "We have that guest room upstairs. You can stay there, and I can keep an eye on you." I thought it meant she wanted to take care of me the way I'd taken care of her. I thought it meant we'd be close again. I thought it meant family dinners and watching movies together, and maybe helping her if she ever had children of her own. I was wrong about all of it. The guest room was nice enough. It had a bed and a dresser and a small window that looked out over the backyard. But it felt like a cage from the very first night. Rose had rules. I couldn't go downstairs after 9 o'clock. I couldn't use the main bathroom if they had company. I couldn't cook in the kitchen because I might leave the stove on. "It's for your own safety, Mom," she'd say whenever I questioned anything. "You're not as sharp as you used to be. I'm just trying to protect you." But it didn't feel like protection. It felt like punishment for some crime I didn't remember committing. The worst part was how she talked to me in front of other people, like I wasn't really there, like I was a problem to be managed rather than a person to be loved. "Oh, that's just my mother," she'd say when friends came over and found me in the living room. "She gets confused sometimes. Mom, why don't you go upstairs and rest?" I wasn't confused. I was lonely. I was sad. I was watching my daughter turn into someone I didn't recognize. But I wasn't confused. James was polite enough, but distant. He'd nod at me when he came home from work, maybe ask how my day was, but his eyes were always looking somewhere else, somewhere that wasn't me. "Your mother seems nice," I heard him tell Rose one night when they thought I was asleep. "But how long is this arrangement going to last? The house doesn't feel like ours anymore." "Just until we figure something else out," Rose replied. "Maybe we can look into assisted living facilities. She has some savings. Not much, but enough for a decent place." Assisted living. Like I was already dead and just didn't know it yet. That's when I started to understand what was really happening. I wasn't a guest in their home. I wasn't family being cared for. I was a burden being tolerated until they could find a way to get rid of me permanently. The meals got smaller. The conversations got shorter. The rules got stricter. And Rose's patience got thinner and thinner until it snapped completely. "You're driving me crazy!" she screamed at me 3 weeks ago after I accidentally dropped a glass in the kitchen. "You can't do anything right anymore. You're like a child." I stood there looking at the broken glass on the floor, and I saw something in her eyes that made my blood run cold. It wasn't anger. It wasn't frustration. It was disgust. Pure, simple disgust. "I'm sorry," I whispered, but she was already walking away. That's when I knew. That's when I realized my daughter didn't just see me as a burden. She saw me as something less than human, something disposable. The sound of small footsteps outside my window breaks through my memories. I try to lift my head, but the room spins and I have to close my eyes. The footsteps stop right outside my window. Then I hear it, a voice so small and sweet it makes my chest ache. "Are you okay, ma'am?" I force my eyes open and turn toward the window. There's a little boy standing in the yard next door, maybe 8 years old with messy brown hair and concerned eyes. He's wearing a red t-shirt and holding a soccer ball under his arm. "Ma'am," he says again, louder this time, "are you okay in there?" I try to speak, but my voice comes out as barely a whisper. "Help!" He drops the soccer ball and runs to the fence between our yards. "My name is Ben," he calls out. "I've been watching your window for 3 days. The lights never come on. Are you stuck?" Stuck. Such a simple word for such a horrible situation. "Yes," I manage to say. "I'm stuck." Ben looks around like he's making sure no one can see him. Then he climbs over the fence. He's small enough to squeeze through the bars on my window, and when he gets close enough, I can see his face clearly. He has kind eyes, the kind of eyes that see people instead of problems. "Where's your daughter?" he asks. "The lady who lives here?" "Gone," I whisper. "When is she coming back?" I don't know how to answer that. I don't even know if she's coming back at all, so I just shake my head. Ben thinks for a moment. Then he reaches into his pocket and pulls out a small bottle of water, the kind they put in lunch boxes. "Here," he says, pushing it through the bars. "I brought this for after soccer practice, but you need it more than I do." The water is the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. I grab it with shaking hands and drink it so fast I start coughing. It tastes like life itself. "Thank you," I say, and I start crying. Not from sadness, but from something else. Something I haven't felt in so long I'd forgotten what it was called. Hope. "Don't tell anyone about this, okay?" Ben whispers, looking around nervously. "I'm not supposed to talk to strangers, but you don't look like a stranger. You look like someone's grandma." Someone's grandma. The words hit me harder than they should. I am someone's grandma, or I would have been if Rose had ever wanted children. But she always said kids would interfere with her career. Kids would mess up her perfect house and her perfect life. "I won't tell," I promise Ben. "But you should go home. Your parents will worry." He shakes his head. "They're at work. I'm staying with my babysitter, but she's watching TV and doesn't pay attention. I saw you in the window yesterday and the day before. You looked sad." Yesterday. The day before. How long has this little boy been watching me suffer while my own daughter was posting pictures of her vacation on social media? Because I'm sure that's what she's doing. I know Rose better than she thinks I do. "What's your name?" Ben asks. "Elena," I tell him. "Elena Martinez." "Nice to meet you, Mrs. Elena. I'm going to help you, okay? But I need to be sneaky about it." Before I can ask what he means, he's already climbing back over the fence. I watch him disappear into his house, and for a moment, I wonder if I imagine the whole thing. Maybe I'm hallucinating from dehydration. Maybe my mind is playing tricks on me. But the empty water bottle in my hands tells me it was real. Ben was real. The first person to show me kindness in months was an 8-year-old boy who barely knows me. I curl up on my bed and close my eyes, trying to make the spinning stop. The water helped, but it wasn't enough. I need food, I need more water, I need medical attention, but most of all, I need to understand how my life became this nightmare. The signs were there long before Rose locked me in this room. I just didn't want to see them. It started with small things. Rose would forget to include me in family dinners. She'd make plans without asking if I wanted to join. She'd talk about me like I wasn't sitting right there in the room. "Mom's getting more forgetful," she'd tell James while I was watching TV just 10 feet away. Yesterday, she asked me the same question 3 times. I hadn't asked her the same question 3 times. I'd asked her once when she was on her phone, once when she was cooking and clearly not listening, and once when she finally looked at me like she was actually hearing what I said. But Rose had her own version of events, and her version was always right. The emotional abuse was so subtle at first that I convinced myself I was imagining it. Rose would sigh dramatically whenever I spoke. She'd roll her eyes when I asked for help with something. She'd use that tone of voice you use with a difficult child. "Mom, we've been over this," she'd say when I asked about going to the grocery store with her. "You move too slowly." It takes twice as long when you come with me." I didn't move slowly. I moved like a 71-year-old woman who'd worked hard her whole life and had arthritis in her knees. But to Rose, that was the same as being broken. Then came the restrictions. I couldn't use the good towels because I might stain them. I couldn't sit in the living room when James was watching TV because it was his time to relax. I couldn't cook because I might burn something. I couldn't do laundry because I might shrink their expensive clothes. One by one, Rose took away every small thing that made me feel useful, every small thing that made me feel human. "You don't understand how stressful this is for me," she'd say whenever I tried to talk to her about it. "I'm trying to take care of you, but you make it so difficult. You complain about everything." I wasn't complaining. I was trying to live. But Rose had decided that my trying to live was an inconvenience for her. The worst part was how she talked about money. My money. "Mom, you're going to need to start thinking about the future," she'd say, sitting across from me at the kitchen table with a stack of papers. "You can't live here forever. James and I need our space." Our space. The space in the house I was helping to pay for with my Social Security checks. The space in the family I'd created and sacrificed everything for. "I've been looking at some really nice assisted living places," she'd continue, sliding brochures across the table. "They have activities and nurses and people your own age. You'd be much happier there." I looked at the brochures. They showed smiling old people playing bingo and doing water aerobics. They looked like commercials for a life I didn't want. "I'm not ready for that," I told her. "I'm not sick. I'm not confused. I just need some help sometimes." "Mom, you're in denial. You're 71 years old. You can't live independently anymore." 71. She said it like it was a death sentence. Like reaching 71 meant I'd automatically lost the right to make my own decisions. "What if I don't want to go?" I asked. Rose's face got that expression I'd learned to fear, the one that meant she was about to say something that would cut deep. "Then you'll have to find somewhere else to live," she said, "because this isn't working for any of us. United States, James and Rose, the family that used to include me but didn't anymore." That night, I lay in bed and realized the truth. Rose didn't want to take care of me. She wanted to get rid of me, and she was willing to make my life miserable until I agreed to disappear. But I had nowhere to go. My apartment was long gone. My savings were mostly gone, spent on Rose's education and wedding and helping with the down payment on this house. The friends I'd had before moving in with Rose had drifted away because I never saw them anymore. I was trapped. Not just in this house, but in this life Rose had created for me. A life where I was tolerated instead of loved, where I was managed instead of cared for, where I was slowly being erased, one restriction at a time. The food became another weapon. Rose would make dinner for herself and James, then remember at the last minute that I needed to eat too. "Oh, Mom, I'm sorry, I forgot you were here. There's some leftover soup in the fridge. You can heat it up." Leftover soup every night. The same bland, watery soup that tasted like nothing and left me hungry an hour later. "Maybe you should eat less," Rose said one day when I asked if we could go grocery shopping together. "You're not as active as you used to be. You don't need as much food." I was eating one meal a day, one small meal of leftover soup and maybe a piece of bread. I was losing weight so fast my clothes were hanging off me like empty sacks. "I'm worried about you, Mom," Rose would say when people asked about me. "She's getting so thin. I try to get her to eat, but she's stubborn." Stubborn. That's what she called it when I asked for enough food to survive. The isolation was worse than the hunger. Rose made sure I understood that I wasn't welcome in the rest of the house. She'd have friends over and not introduce me. She'd make it clear that I should stay in my room until they left. "Mom gets confused around new people," she'd explain, if someone asked about me. "It's better if she stays upstairs." I wasn't confused around new people. I was embarrassed. Embarrassed that my own daughter was treating me like a shameful secret. embarrassed that I'd let my life become so small and sad. But the worst humiliation came 3 months ago, when Rose decided I needed supervision in the bathroom. "You fell last week," she said, standing in the doorway while I tried to wash my hands. "I need to make sure you're safe." I hadn't fallen. I'd tripped slightly over the bathroom rug, caught myself on the counter, and continued with my day. But in Rose's version of events, I'd had a dangerous fall that proved I couldn't be trusted alone. "This is ridiculous," I told her. "I'm not a child." "You're acting like one," she snapped back. "If you can't follow simple safety rules, then I have to treat you like one." That's when I knew. That's when I understood what was really happening. Rose wasn't trying to keep me safe. She was trying to break me down. She was trying to make me so miserable, so dependent, so desperate that I'd beg her to put me in a nursing home, and it was working. By the time Rose announced her business trip, I was already broken. I was already convinced that I was nothing but a burden. I was already believing that maybe she was right about everything. "I need some time away," she said, packing her suitcase with clothes that cost more than my entire monthly income. "James and I haven't had a real vacation in years because we've been dealing with your situation." My situation. Like I was a problem to be solved instead of a person to be loved. "How long will you be gone?" I asked. "A few days. Maybe a week. It depends on how things go." I should have known then. I should have seen the look in her eyes, the way she wouldn't meet my gaze. I should have understood that this wasn't about a vacation. This was about something much worse. But I was too tired to fight, too broken to argue, too convinced that I deserved whatever was happening to me. "I'm locking your door for your own safety," she said, and I just nodded. I just accepted it. I just let her turn the key and walk away. The first 3 days were hell. The hunger was bad, but the thirst was worse. I rationed the single bottle of water she'd left me, taking tiny sips that barely wet my lips. I ate the crackers one at a time, making them last as long as possible. By day 4, I was too weak to get out of bed. By day 5, I was hallucinating. I saw my dead husband David sitting in the chair by the window. I saw my mother bringing me soup and telling me everything would be okay. "You're stronger than you think," my mother's voice said, but when I reached for her, she dissolved into sunlight and shadow. On day 6, I stopped trying to ration the water. I drank it all at once, desperate for relief. Then I lay on the bed and waited to die. I thought about all the things I'd never gotten to do, all the places I'd never seen, all the words I'd never said to Rose about how much her cruelty hurt me. I thought about the life I'd lived and wondered if it had been worth anything. I'd raised a daughter who hated me. I'd worked myself to the bone for someone who saw me as disposable. I'd given everything I had to a person who was willing to let me die alone in a locked room. Maybe this was what I deserved. Maybe this was justice for some sin I didn't remember committing. But then Ben appeared at my window like a guardian angel, and everything changed. Now it's been 10 days. 10 days of slow starvation and desperate thirst. 10 days of wondering if anyone in the world cares whether I live or die. 10 days of learning that the answer is yes. An 8-year-old boy cares. A child who barely knows me cares more about my well-being than my own daughter. I can hear footsteps outside my window again. Small, careful footsteps that make my heart race with hope. "Mrs. Elena?" Ben's voice is soft, like he's afraid someone might hear him. "Are you awake?" I force myself to sit up, though the room spins and my vision blurs. "I'm here." He climbs over the fence again, carrying a small backpack this time. "I brought you some things," he says, reaching through the bars. Crackers and a sandwich and 2 bottles of water and some fruit snacks. The food looks like a feast. I grab it with shaking hands and try not to cry. "Ben, you don't have to do this. You could get in trouble." "I don't care," he says, and his voice is fierce in a way that reminds me of Rose when she was little, when she still believed in fighting for what was right. Someone has to help you. Where's your daughter? She went on vacation. When? 10 days ago. Ben's eyes get wide. 10 days? She left you locked in there for 10 days? I know, too ashamed to say it out loud. That's not right, Ben says, and his voice is angry now. That's not what families do. My mom says families take care of each other. Your mom is right, I want to tell him. Families should take care of each other, but sometimes they don't. Sometimes they just pretend to care while they slowly kill you with neglect and cruelty. I'm going to tell my parents, Ben says. They'll know what to do. Terror shoots through me. No, Ben, please don't. If Rose finds out you helped me, she'll be angry. She'll say I'm causing trouble. You're not causing trouble. You're dying. The words hit me like a physical blow because they're true. I am dying. Not dramatically, not quickly, but slowly and quietly in this room that's become my tomb. Promise me you won't tell anyone, I beg him. Promise me. Ben looks at me for a long moment, his young face serious beyond his years. I promise I won't tell anyone today. But Mrs. Elena, someone has to help you. Someone has to make this stop. After he leaves, I eat the sandwich slowly, making each bite last. It's peanut butter and jelly, the kind of simple food that tastes like childhood and safety. I haven't felt safe in so long I'd forgotten what it was like. But as I eat, I realize something that makes my blood run cold. Rose is coming back soon. She has to be. She can't leave me here forever because eventually someone will notice. Eventually someone will ask questions. And when she comes back, she'll find me alive when she expected me to be dead. What happens then? What happens when your daughter discovers that her plan to let you die of thirst and starvation has failed? What happens when she realizes that someone has been helping you survive? I think about the look in Rose's eyes the last time I saw her, the disgust, the coldness, the complete absence of love. Tell me honestly, what would you do if your own child tried to kill you? Because that's exactly what I'm facing, and I need to decide fast whether I'm going to keep fighting or just give up. The answer comes to me on day 11, when I hear Ben's parents talking in their backyard. Something's not right next door, a woman's voice says. It must be Ben's mother. Her voice is concerned, the way a real mother sounds when she's worried about someone. What do you mean? A man's voice this time, Ben's father. Ben's been acting strange. Yesterday I caught him sneaking food from the kitchen. When I asked him about it, he got all nervous and said he was just hungry, but he'd already eaten lunch. My heart starts pounding. Ben's been taking risks for me. This sweet little boy has been stealing food from his own family to keep me alive, and now his parents are starting to notice. Maybe he's just going through a growth spurt, the father says. Maybe. But this morning, I saw him climbing over the fence into the Martinez yard. When I called him back, he looked guilty about something. No, this can't happen. Ben can't get in trouble because of me. His parents can't find out what he's been doing because then they'll want to know why, and when they find out why, Rose will know that someone helped me survive. I drag myself to the window, my legs shaking with the effort. Ben is in his backyard kicking a soccer ball against the fence. He looks up and sees me watching. I mouth the word no and shake my head, trying to tell him not to come over. Not today, not when his parents are suspicious. But Ben has other plans. Around noon, when the neighborhood is quiet and most people are inside eating lunch, I hear a small tap on my window. Ben is there with his backpack, but this time he's not alone. There's a girl with him, maybe 10 years old, with long blonde hair and serious blue eyes. Mrs. Elena, Ben whispers, this is my sister Katie. I told her about you. I want to scream. I want to tell him he shouldn't have told anyone that this is dangerous, that he's going to get himself in trouble. But I'm too weak to argue, and the bottle of water he's pushing through the bars is too precious to refuse. Hi, Mrs. Elena, Katie says softly. Ben told me your daughter locked you in there and won't let you out. That's horrible. Children see things so clearly. They don't make excuses or try to rationalize cruelty. They just call it what it is. Horrible. How long has she been gone? Katie asks. 11 days, I whisper. Katie's eyes get wide. 11 days? Without food or water? That's trying to kill someone. Yes, I want to tell her. That's exactly what it is. Your brother figured that out faster than I did. We have to tell Mom and Dad, Katie says to Ben. This is serious. No, I say as loudly as I can manage. Please don't tell anyone. If Rose finds out you helped me, she'll be furious. She might hurt you. Katie tilts her head. How can she hurt us? We don't even know her. Such innocent questions. Katie doesn't understand that people like Rose have ways of hurting people even when they don't know them. People like Rose are good at making trouble for anyone who gets in their way. She could call the police, I explain. She could say you were trespassing or bothering me. She could make up stories about your family. Ben and Katie look at each other. I can see them having one of those silent conversations that siblings have. Finally, Katie nods. We won't tell today, she says. But Mrs. Elena, you look really sick. You need help from grown-ups, not just kids. After they leave, I think about what Katie said. I do need help from grown-ups. But which grown-ups? Who would believe that a successful lawyer like Rose would lock her elderly mother in a room and leave her to die? Who would take the word of a confused old woman over someone like my daughter? That afternoon, I hear a car in the driveway. My heart stops. Rose is back. I listen to her footsteps on the stairs, each one bringing her closer to this room, closer to discovering that I'm still alive. I close my eyes and pretend to be unconscious, trying to look as close to death as possible. The key turns in the lock. The door opens. Mom? Rose's voice sounds different. Not concerned exactly, but surprised, like she wasn't expecting to find me breathing. I keep my eyes closed and try to make my breathing as shallow as possible. Let her think I'm dying. Let her think her plan almost worked. Mom, wake up. Her voice is sharper now, more annoyed than worried. I don't move. I don't respond. I lie there like a corpse and listen to her footsteps as she walks around the room. Jesus, she mutters under her breath. What a mess. A mess. That's what she calls nearly killing her own mother. A mess. I feel her fingers on my wrist checking for a pulse. Then I hear her sigh, long and frustrated. Mom, I know you're not unconscious. Your breathing changed when I walked in. I open my eyes slowly like it's difficult, like I'm barely hanging on to life. Rose? I whisper. You're back? I'm back. Her voice is flat, emotionless. How are you feeling? How am I feeling? How am I feeling? I want to scream at her. I want to ask her how she thinks someone feels after being locked in a room without food or water for 11 days. I want to grab her by the shoulders and shake her until she understands what she's done to me. Instead, I whisper, thirsty. She looks around the room and notices the empty bottles that Ben brought me. Her eyes narrow. Where did these come from? She asks, picking up one of the water bottles. My blood turns to ice. Think, Elena. Think fast. I found them, I say weakly. Under the bed, old ones. Rose examines the bottle more closely. It's clearly new, with a bright label and no dust. There's no way it was under the bed for any length of time. Mom, this bottle is brand new. The label isn't even faded. Her voice is getting dangerous now. Where did it really come from? I close my eyes and try to look confused. I don't remember. Everything's been so fuzzy. Rose sets the bottle down and stares at me for a long moment. I can feel her trying to figure out what happened, trying to understand how I survived when I should have died. Did someone come in here, she asks. Number. The door was locked. Did someone come to the window? I shake my head weakly. I don't think so. I was unconscious most of the time. Rose walks to the window and looks out at the yard. She's quiet for several minutes, and I can almost hear her mind working. She knows something doesn't add up. She knows someone helped me. "I'm going to get you some water," she says finally, "and maybe some soup. You look terrible." She leaves the room but doesn't lock the door behind her. For the first time in 11 days, I'm not trapped, but I'm too weak to walk, too dizzy to stand. The unlocked door might as well be a brick wall. When Rose comes back with water and a bowl of soup, she sits in the chair by the window and watches me eat. It's the same watery soup she always gives me, but right now it tastes like the best meal I've ever had. "Mom, we need to talk," she says while I'm drinking the water. Here it comes, the conversation I've been dreading. "This isn't working," she continues. "You living here, it's too much for me to handle." I nod like I agree with her, like I understand that caring for an elderly parent is just too difficult for someone as important and busy as she is. "I've been doing some research while I was away," she says. "There's a really nice place called Sunset Manor about an hour from here. They specialize in care for people with your kinds of needs." My kinds of needs. The need for food and water and basic human dignity. Yes, I suppose those are specialized needs. "It's not cheap," Rose continues, "but they'll work with us on payment plans. And once we sell this house and get something smaller, the extra money will help cover the costs." Sell the house I helped buy with my savings, the house where I've been living for the past year, thinking it was my home too. "What if I don't want to go?" I ask quietly. Rose's face hardens. "Mom, you almost died while I was gone. You're clearly not capable of taking care of yourself anymore. What if something had happened to you? What if I'd come home and found you dead? What if she'd come home and found me dead?" She says it like it would have been a tragedy instead of exactly what she was hoping for. "The people at Sunset Manor are trained to deal with situations like this," she says. "They know how to keep you safe." Safe. There's that word again. The word Rose uses to justify every cruel thing she does to me. "When would I have to go?" I ask. "Soon. I've already filled out most of the paperwork. We just need to schedule a tour and get you settled in." Already filled out the paperwork. She's been planning this for a while. Maybe she's been planning it since the day I moved in with her. Can I think about it? Rose's smile is cold and sharp. "Of course you can think about it, Mom, but thinking about it won't change the facts. You can't live here anymore. You're too much work, and frankly, you're too dangerous to yourself." Too dangerous to myself. Like I'm the one who locked myself in this room and left myself to die. After Rose leaves, I lie in the dark and try to process what just happened. She's going to put me in a nursing home. She's going to sell the house and use my money to pay for it. She's going to get rid of me permanently, and she's going to make it look like it's for my own good. But there's something else. Something that makes my skin crawl with fear. Rose knows someone helped me. She knows those water bottles didn't appear by magic. She's going to figure out who it was, and when she does, she's going to make sure it doesn't happen again. I think about Ben and Katie, those sweet children who risked getting in trouble just to keep me alive. I think about their parents, who seem like good people raising good kids. What will Rose do to them when she discovers the truth? The next morning, I hear voices in the backyard again. Rose is outside, and she's talking to someone. "Excuse me," she says in her professional lawyer voice. "I'm Rose Williams from next door. Do you have a minute?" "Of course," a woman replies. It's Ben's mother. "I'm Sarah Chen, and this is my husband Mark. We've been meaning to introduce ourselves." "Actually, I wanted to ask you about something," Rose says. "My mother has been staying with me, and she's been having some episodes lately. Memory problems, confusion, that sort of thing." I drag myself to the window and peek through the curtains. Rose is standing by the fence, wearing her best fate-concerned expression. Ben's parents are listening politely, but I can see the wariness in their eyes. "Yesterday, I found some items in her room that she couldn't explain," Rose continues. "Water bottles, food wrappers. She claims she doesn't remember where they came from, but they're clearly new. I'm wondering if maybe one of your children has been interacting with her? Ben's mother frowns. Interacting how? Well, her window faces your yard. It's possible that someone might have been talking to her through the window, maybe even passing things through. I'm not accusing anyone of anything bad, Rose adds quickly. I just need to know so I can keep her safe. There's that word again. Safe. I can ask the kids, Mark says slowly, but they know better than to talk to strangers. Of course they do. You seem like excellent parents, but you know how children are. Sometimes they try to help in ways that aren't actually helpful. I see Ben appear in the doorway of his house. He's listening to the conversation, his young face pale with worry. If they have been talking to her, Rose continues, I'd really appreciate it if you could ask them to stop. My mother gets confused easily, and interaction with strangers just makes it worse. We're actually in the process of finding her a more appropriate living situation where she can get the specialized care she needs. Specialized care, code for I'm getting rid of her. We'll definitely talk to the kids, Sarah says. And I'm sorry to hear about your mother's condition. That must be very difficult for your family. It is, Rose agrees, and she actually manages to sound sad about it. It's heartbreaking to watch someone you love deteriorate like that, but we're doing everything we can to make sure she's comfortable and safe. After Rose goes back inside, I watch Ben's parents talking quietly to each other. I can't hear what they're saying, but I can see their body language. They're concerned. They're probably wondering if their children have been doing something they shouldn't. A few minutes later, Ben comes outside. His parents call him over, and I watch as they have a serious conversation with him. I can see Ben shaking his head, probably denying everything. I can see his parents' expressions getting more worried. Then Katie comes outside, and they call her over too. Another serious conversation, more head shaking, more worried looks. But I know these kids. I've seen the kindness in their eyes, the determination to do what's right even when it's difficult. They're not going to give up on me just because some adult told them to. The question is, what is Rose going to do when she realizes they're not going to stop helping me? That evening, Ben appears at my window again, but this time he looks scared. Mrs. Elena, he whispers, your daughter talked to my parents. She told them I've been bothering you. What did your parents say? They told me and Katie to stay away from your window. They said you're sick and they might make it worse. Ben's voice is frustrated. But you're not sick like that. You're sick because you need food and water. Smart girl. Too smart for his own good. Ben, maybe you should listen to your parents. I don't want you to get in trouble. I'm already in trouble, he says. Mom and Dad are watching me all the time now, but Mrs. Elena, they don't understand. They think your daughter is trying to help you. She is trying to help me, I lie, in her own way. Ben stares at me through the window bars. No, she's not. She's trying to hurt you, and tomorrow she's going to hurt you more. What do you mean? I heard her on the phone earlier. She was talking to someone about moving you somewhere. She said she needed it to happen fast before you caused any more problems. My blood turns to ice. Rose is moving faster than I thought. She's not waiting for me to agree to the nursing home. She's just going to make it happen. Ben, you need to go home. You need to stay away from me, okay? I mean it. But what about you? What's going to happen to you? I don't know how to answer that question. What is going to happen to me? Rose is going to put me in Sunset Manor, where I'll be someone else's problem, where I'll slowly fade away in a room that smells like disinfectant and defeat, where no one will ever know what really happened to me. I'll be okay, I tell Ben, but we both know I'm lying. After he leaves, I lie in the dark and think about my options. I could try to escape, but I'm too weak to walk more than a few steps. I could try to call for help, but Rose took my phone months ago for my own safety. I could try to tell someone the truth, but who would believe me? Or I could do something else, something Rose doesn't expect, something that would change everything. You see, there's something about me that Rose doesn't know, something I've kept hidden for years, waiting for the right moment to use it. Tomorrow, when Rose tries to ship me off to die slowly in a nursing home, she's going to discover that her weak, helpless mother isn't quite as powerless as she thought. But will it be enough to save me? Or will it just make Rose more determined to destroy me completely? The answer comes sooner than I expected. At 7 in the morning, I hear multiple cars in the driveway. Through my window, I can see a white van with Sunset Manor written on the side in cheerful blue letters. Behind it is Rose's car, and behind that is another car I don't recognize. My heart starts racing. This is it. Rose isn't waiting for me to agree to anything. She's just taking me. I hear voices downstairs, professional voices mixed with Rose's fake concern. Then footsteps on the stairs. She'd been there for hours and couldn't remember how it happened. Lies. All lies. But they sound so believable when Rose tells them in her lawyer voice. The door opens and 3 people walk in. Rose, a man in a white uniform, and a woman carrying a clipboard. The woman looks like a nurse, with kind eyes and graying hair pulled back in a bun. "Mrs. Martinez," the woman says gently, "I'm Linda from Sunset Manor. We're here to help you transition to a safer living environment." Safer. There's that word again. I look at Rose, standing behind the others with her arms crossed. She's wearing a black dress that makes her look like she's already in mourning. Her expression is calm, satisfied. She thinks she's won. "I don't want to go," I say quietly. Linda's expression becomes even more sympathetic. "I understand this is scary, Mrs. Martinez. Change is always difficult, especially when we're not feeling our best. But your daughter has told us about your recent health incidents. We're trained to handle these kinds of situations." Health incidents. Is that what Rose called nearly letting me die of thirst? What if I refuse to go? I ask. Linda glances at Rose, then back at me. "Mrs. Martinez, your daughter has power of attorney for your medical decisions. She's acting in your best interest." Power of attorney. When did that happen? When did I sign papers giving Rose control over my life? I try to remember, but my mind is fuzzy from days of dehydration and hunger. "I don't remember signing anything," I say. "Mom, we discussed this months ago," Rose says smoothly. "You were having one of your confused episodes, but you understood it was necessary. Remember? We went to the lawyer's office together." I do remember going to a lawyer's office. Rose said she needed help with some paperwork related to her practice. She said I needed to sign a few documents as a witness, but power of attorney? I would have remembered that. Wouldn't I? "The important thing is getting you the care you need," Linda says. "We have a lovely room ready for you, with a view of the garden, and our staff is trained to handle all kinds of medical needs." The man in the white uniform steps forward. "Mrs. Martinez, I'm going to need you to come with us now. We can do this the easy way, or we can do it with assistance. Which would you prefer?" Assistance. Code for, "We'll carry you out if we have to." I look at Rose again. She's checking her phone now, already mentally moving on to the next item on her to-do list. Get rid of Mother. Check. "Can I pack some things?" I ask. "Your daughter has already packed everything you'll need," Linda says, gesturing to a small suitcase by the door. One small suitcase for a 71-year lifetime. I stand up slowly, my legs shaking with weakness. The room spins, but I force myself to stay upright. I'm not going to let them carry me out like a piece of furniture. "I need to use the bathroom first," I say. Rose sighs impatiently. "Mom, there are bathrooms at Sunset Manor. Can't this wait?" "No, it can't wait." I put as much authority into my voice as I can manage. "Unless you want me to have an accident in your van." Linda nods. "Of course. We'll wait outside." They file out, leaving me alone for the first time since Rose returned. I walk slowly to the window and look out at Ben's house. I can see him in his bedroom window, watching everything. When he sees me, he holds up a piece of paper with something written on it. "Told Mom and Dad truth," it says in his careful 8-year-old handwriting. My heart jumps. Ben told his parents the truth about what Rose has been doing to me. But will it matter? Will they believe an 8-year-old boy over a respected lawyer? I hear Rose calling from the hallway. "Mom, we need to go. They have a schedule to keep." This is my last chance. If I go with them now, I'll disappear into Sunset Manor and no one will ever know what really happened to me. Rose will tell people I died peacefully of old age, surrounded by caring nurses. She'll probably even cry at my funeral. But there's something Rose doesn't know. Something I've kept hidden for 70 years, waiting for the right moment. I walk slowly to my dresser and open the bottom drawer. Buried underneath old sweaters and forgotten scarves is a manila envelope, yellow with age. Inside that envelope are documents that Rose has never seen. Documents that prove I'm not the helpless old woman she thinks I am. My mother didn't just leave me that piece of land I sold for Rose's education. She left me other things too. Investments, stocks, bank accounts in my maiden name that Rose doesn't know exist. Over the years, while I was supposedly just scraping by on Social Security, I was quietly building a fortune. David had a life insurance policy that paid out when he died. Instead of spending it all on day-to-day expenses, I invested most of it. My mother's family had money, old money that she inherited and passed down to me. I've been adding to it, growing it, protecting it for decades. Rose thinks I'm poor. Rose thinks I'm dependent on her charity. Rose thinks I have nowhere else to go and no way to fight back. Rose is wrong about everything. I take the envelope and hide it inside my coat. Then I walk back to the door where they're all waiting. "Ready, Mom?" Rose asks, but she's not really asking. She's telling. "Actually," I say, and my voice is stronger now, "I have something to say first." Linda smiles encouragingly. "Of course, Mrs. Martinez. What would you like to say?" "I'd like to say that everything my daughter has told you is a lie." The silence that follows is deafening. Rose's face goes white, then red, then white again. "Mom, you're confused," she says quickly. "This is exactly what I was talking about. She gets these paranoid episodes where she thinks people are lying to her." "I'm not confused," I say clearly. "I'm not paranoid, and I'm not going anywhere with you." The man in the white uniform looks uncomfortable. "Mrs. Martinez, your daughter has legal authority to make these decisions for you." "Does she?" I pull the envelope from my coat and remove a single document. Because according to this, the power of attorney she claims to have was signed under false pretenses. I was told I was signing a witness statement for her law practice. I was never told it was a power of attorney, and I never agreed to give her control over my medical decisions. Rose's eyes go wide. "Mom, what are you talking about? You don't have any legal documents." "Don't I?" I pull out another paper. "This is a letter from my lawyer, dated 3 days before you locked me in that room. It states that I am mentally competent and capable of making my own decisions. It also states that any power of attorney signed without my full knowledge and consent is invalid." Rose lunges for the papers, but I step back. "These are copies. The originals are in a safe deposit box that only I have access to." "This is ridiculous," Rose says, but her voice is shaking now. "Mom, you're having one of your episodes. You're imagining things." I turn to Linda and the man in the uniform. "I have one question for you. Did my daughter tell you that she locked me in my room for 11 days without food or water while she went on vacation?" Linda's face changes. "I'm sorry, what?" 11 days, no food, no water. She locked the door and left me to die. The only reason I'm alive is because the 8-year-old boy next door brought me water through the window. "Mom, that's not what happened," Rose says desperately. "You locked yourself in accidentally. I explained this to the hospital when they brought you in." Hospital? Linda looks confused. You never mentioned any hospital visit. Rose realizes her mistake immediately. She just admitted that I was hospitalized, which means she just admitted that something serious enough to require medical attention happened while she was gone. It was a minor incident, Rose says quickly. Dehydration from a stomach bug. Nothing serious. Dehydration severe enough to require hospitalization doesn't sound minor, the man in the uniform says slowly. I pull out another document. This is my medical record from that hospital visit. It states that I was suffering from severe dehydration and malnutrition consistent with prolonged deprivation of food and water. The attending physician noted that my condition suggested deliberate neglect. Rose is breathing fast now, panicking. Where did you get these papers? You don't have access to medical records. I had them sent to my lawyer, I say calmly. The same lawyer who's been helping me document the abuse you've been subjecting me to for months. Abuse? Rose's voice cracks. I've been taking care of you. I've been sacrificing my own life to make sure you're safe. Safe? I laugh, and it's not a nice sound. Is that what you call locking someone in a room without food or water? Is that what you call emotional manipulation and financial exploitation? Linda is looking back and forth between us like she's watching a tennis match. Mrs. Martinez, these are very serious allegations. If what you're saying is true, we can't proceed with this transfer. It's not true, Rose shouts. She's confused. She's making things up. I pull out the final document. This is a sworn statement from Benjamin Chen, age 8, witnessed by his parents. It details how he brought me food and water through my window while my daughter was on vacation. It includes photos his father took of the empty water bottles in my room and the locked door. Rose's face goes completely gray. You can't use a child's testimony. He's 8 years old. He doesn't understand what he saw. His parents understand, I say, and they're prepared to testify about what their son told them. They're also prepared to testify about how you tried to manipulate them into silencing their children. The room is dead quiet. Linda is staring at Rose like she's seeing her for the first time. The man in the uniform is backing toward the door like he wants to escape. I think we need to leave, Linda says finally. Mrs. Martinez, if you don't want to come with us voluntarily, and if there are questions about the validity of the power of attorney, then we can't force you. Wait, Rose says desperately. You can't just leave. She needs care. She's not capable of living alone. From what I'm hearing, Linda says coldly, she's more capable than you led us to believe. And frankly, if even half of what she's saying is true, you should be talking to the police, not us. After they leave, Rose and I are alone. She's standing by the window, her perfect lawyer composure completely shattered. Her hands are shaking, and there are tears in her eyes. But they're not tears of remorse. They're tears of rage. How? She whispers. How did you do this? Did you really think I was helpless? I ask. Did you really think that a woman who raised you alone from the age of 3 months, who worked 2 jobs for 20 years, who put you through college and law school, didn't know how to protect herself? The money, she says suddenly. You said you had no money. You said you needed my help. I said I had limited savings. I never said I had no money. I sit down on the bed, suddenly exhausted from the confrontation. Did you think I was stupid, Rose? Did you think I didn't see what you were doing? I was trying to help you. You were trying to kill me. The words hang in the air between us like a physical presence. Maybe not quickly, but slowly, wearing me down, breaking my spirit, making me believe I was worthless until I just gave up and died. Rose starts crying harder. That's not true. I love you. No, you don't. You love what I represent. You love the idea of being the devoted daughter who sacrificed everything for her aging mother. But you don't love me. If you loved me, you wouldn't have locked me in this room and left me to die. I didn't mean for that to happen. I just needed some time away. I thought you'd be okay for a few days. 11 days, Rose. without food or water. How exactly did you think I'd be okay?" She doesn't answer because there is no answer. There's no way to explain away what she did except to admit that she wanted me dead. "What happens now?" she asks finally. "Now you pack your things and leave. This is my house too. I helped pay for it and I'm not going anywhere. You can't live here alone. Watch me." I stand up and walk to the door. "You have 24 hours to get out. If you're not gone by tomorrow night, I'm calling the police and filing charges for attempted murder, elder abuse, and fraud." Rose stares at me like I'm a stranger. Maybe I am. Maybe the helpless old woman she thought she could manipulate never really existed. Maybe I was just playing a role, waiting for the right moment to show her who I really am. "This isn't over," she says. "Yes, it is." I turn to look at her one last time. "You chose to be my enemy instead of my daughter. You chose cruelty over kindness. You chose to try to destroy me instead of love me. Those were your choices, Rose. Now you get to live with the consequences." After she leaves, I sit by the window and watch Ben playing in his backyard. When he sees me, he waves, and I wave back. Tomorrow, I'm going to go over there and thank his parents properly. I'm going to tell them they raised a hero. But tonight, I'm going to do something else. Something that will make sure Rose never tries to hurt me or anyone else ever again. Because you see, having money isn't just about financial security. It's about power. And Rose is about to discover exactly how much power a supposedly helpless old woman can wield when she's finally had enough. What do you think Rose deserves after what she did to me? Because tomorrow she's going to get exactly what's coming to her. The next morning, I wake up in my own bed for the first time in weeks without fear. Rose is gone. I heard her car leave around midnight, probably going to stay with a friend or in a hotel. She took 2 suitcases and left everything else behind, including the mess of her life that's about to get much messier. I make myself a real breakfast for the first time in months. Eggs, toast, coffee that doesn't taste like dishwater. I eat slowly, savoring every bite, thinking about the phone calls I need to make today. The first call is to my lawyer, Harold Brennan. He's been my attorney for 30 years, ever since David died. He's the one who helped me set up the investments and financial accounts that Rose never knew about. "Elena," he says when he answers, and I can hear the relief in his voice. Thank God. When Ben's father called me yesterday about what was happening, I was terrified we were too late. "You knew?" "Mark Chen called me after his son told them the truth about what Rose was doing to you. He said Ben was adamant that someone needed to help you, so he looked up lawyers in the phone book and found my card in your purse when he went to get your medical information." Smart man. Smarter than I gave him credit for. "I've been preparing for this day for weeks," Harold continues. "Ever since you called me from the hospital and told me what Rose had done. The documents I sent over yesterday were just the beginning." "What's the next step?" "First, we file a police report for elder abuse and attempted murder. The medical records from your hospital stay, combined with Ben's testimony and the photographic evidence his father collected, should be enough to start a criminal investigation." I think about Rose sitting in a jail cell, wearing an orange jumpsuit instead of her expensive business suits. The image makes me smile for the first time in months. "Second," Harold continues, "we go after her professionally. I've already contacted the State Bar Association. Attempting to murder your elderly mother tends to reflect poorly on one's fitness to practice law. Even better, Rose's career is everything to her. Losing her law license would destroy her more completely than prison time. And third," Harold says, and I can hear the satisfaction in his voice, "we take back everything she stole from you. The power of attorney fraud, the financial manipulation, the theft of your medical decision-making rights. We're going to make her pay for every single penny she cost you, plus damages for emotional distress." "How much are we talking about?" "Conservatively, $2 million, maybe more if we can prove ongoing emotional abuse and attempted murder. $2 million, enough to ruin Rose financially for the rest of her life, enough to make sure she never forgets what she did to me. When do we start? This afternoon. I've already filed the paperwork. The police should be contacting you within the hour to take your statement. After I hang up with Harold, I sit in my kitchen and think about revenge. Real revenge. Not the petty kind that Rose specialized in. The kind of revenge that changes lives permanently. Rose always said I was weak. She said I was helpless, dependent, incapable of taking care of myself. She's about to learn exactly how wrong she was about everything. The doorbell rings at 10 o'clock sharp. Through the window, I can see 2 police officers standing on my front porch. Detective Sarah Martinez and Officer Kevin Walsh, according to the business cards they show me. Mrs. Martinez, Detective Martinez says gently, we're here about the complaint filed by your attorney regarding alleged elder abuse. Would you be willing to give us a statement? I've been waiting 71 years to tell this story, I reply. Come in. We sit in my living room, the same room where Rose used to entertain her friends while pretending I didn't exist. Detective Martinez sets up a recording device while Officer Walsh takes notes. Start from the beginning, Detective Martinez says. When did the abuse start? I tell them everything. The gradual isolation, the food rationing, the emotional manipulation, the financial control. I tell them about the locked room and the 11 days without food or water. I tell them about Ben's heroic efforts to keep me alive. Do you have any evidence of these allegations? Officer Walsh asks. I show them the medical records, the photos that Mark Chen took, Ben's written statement. I show them the financial documents proving that Rose lied about my mental capacity and my financial situation. We'll need to interview the Chen family, Detective Martinez says, and we'll need to examine the room where you were allegedly confined. Allegedly? I raise an eyebrow. Detective Martinez smiles. Sorry, force of habit. From what I'm seeing here, this looks like a clear case of elder abuse and attempted murder. The evidence is pretty overwhelming. After they leave, I walk upstairs to what used to be Rose's room. She left it surprisingly neat considering how quickly she packed, but she also left something behind that makes my blood boil with fresh anger. On her nightstand is a brochure for a luxury cruise to the Caribbean. The dates match exactly with when she was supposed to be on her business trip. While I was dying of thirst in a locked room, she was sipping cocktails by a pool. But there's something else. A notebook, left open to a page with my name at the top. Below it, she'd written a timeline. Week 1, reduce food portions, increase restrictions. Week 2, limit social contact, begin medication discussion. Week 3, introduce confusion narrative to neighbors. Week 4, secure power of attorney. Week 5, begin nursing home research. Week 6, vacation. Final solution. Final solution. She actually wrote final solution like she was planning a genocide instead of murdering her mother. At the bottom of the page, she'd written, expected outcome, natural death from complications of age and dementia. No investigation likely. I tear the page out of the notebook and add it to the evidence pile. Rose just handed me the smoking gun that proves everything was premeditated. My phone rings. It's Mark Chen. Mrs. Martinez, I wanted to check on you. Ben has been worried sick since yesterday. I'm fine, Mark. Better than fine, actually, and I owe your family more than I can ever repay. Ben just did what any decent person would do, but I have to ask, what's going to happen now? Are you going to be okay living alone? I laugh, and it feels good. Mark, I've been taking care of myself for 71 years. Living alone is going to feel like a vacation. What about Rose? Rose is going to learn that actions have consequences, starting today. That afternoon, Harold calls with an update. The police have issued a warrant for Rose's arrest, he says. Elder abuse in the first degree, attempted murder, fraud, and theft. She turned herself in an hour ago. I feel a surge of satisfaction so intense it's almost dizzying. What's her bail? $500,000. Her husband James posted it, but I hear they're getting divorced. Apparently, learning that your wife tried to murder her mother is grounds for reconsidering your marriage. Good for James. I never thought he was brave enough to stand up to Rose, but I'm glad he proved me wrong. There's more, Harold continues. The story leaked to the press. Channel 7 is running a segment tonight called Daughter, Accused of Leaving Elderly Mother to Die. The reporter interviewed Ben and his parents. That boy is a natural on camera. A news story. Rose always cared so much about her reputation, her image in the community. Having her face plastered across the evening news as an accused elder abuser will destroy her more effectively than any legal punishment. And the Bar Association? They've opened an investigation. With criminal charges pending, they'll almost certainly suspend her license pending the outcome of the trial. If she's convicted, she'll be disbarred permanently. Rose's career is over. Her marriage is over. Her reputation is destroyed. Her finances are about to be ruined by legal fees and civil damages. In less than 24 hours, I've managed to dismantle her entire life. But I'm not done yet. That evening, I do something I haven't done in months. I walk next door to properly thank the Chen family. Mark answers the door and immediately invites me in. Their house is warm and bright, the kind of home where children are loved and protected, the kind of home I thought I was providing for Rose all those years ago. Ben, Mark calls. Mrs. Martinez is here. Ben comes running down the stairs, his face lighting up when he sees me. He throws his arms around my waist and hugs me tight. I was so scared they were going to take you away, he says into my jacket. They tried, I tell him, but you saved me. You and your courage and your kind heart saved my life. Sarah Chen appears from the kitchen, carrying a plate of cookies that smells like heaven. Mrs. Martinez, we're so sorry about what happened to you. We should have realized sooner that something was wrong. You have nothing to apologize for, I tell her. Your son is a hero. He's braver than most adults I know. We sit in their living room and I tell them about everything that's happened since yesterday. The police investigation, the criminal charges, the civil lawsuit. Ben listens with wide eyes. So your daughter is going to jail? He asks. Probably. What she did was very serious and she's going to have to face the consequences. Good, Ben says fiercely. She was mean to you. Such simple moral clarity. Children understand justice in a way that adults often forget. Ben, I say, I want to do something to thank you for saving my life. How would you like to never have to worry about paying for college? His parents look confused, but I pull out a document I prepared earlier. This is a college scholarship fund, I explain. It's set up in Ben's name, and it will pay for his education all the way through graduate school if he wants. It's the least I can do for the boy who risked everything to help me. Sarah starts crying. Mrs. Martinez, we can't accept this. It's too much. It's not nearly enough, I tell her. Your son saved my life. This is nothing compared to what he gave me. Mark is staring at the document. Mrs. Martinez, this is for $200,000. Education is expensive these days. I want to make sure Ben has every opportunity to become whatever he wants to be. But how? We thought. You thought I was poor because that's what Rose wanted everyone to think. The truth is, I've been quietly wealthy for decades. I just kept it secret because I learned a long time ago that money changes how people treat you. And Rose didn't know? Rose knew I had some savings. She didn't know I had investments worth several $1 million. She thought she was manipulating a helpless old woman with limited resources. She was wrong about everything. After I leave the Chen house, I walk back home and sit on my front porch. For the first time in months, I feel peaceful. The nightmare is over. Rose is facing justice. Ben and his family are taken care of, and I'm free. But as I'm sitting there, I see a familiar car pull into my driveway. Rose's car. She gets out slowly, like she's afraid I might attack her. She looks terrible. Her perfect hair is messy, her makeup is smudged, and she's wearing the same clothes she had on yesterday. "No," she says, walking up the steps slowly. "We need to talk." "No, I don't." I stand up and cross my arms. "You have a restraining order against you. You're not supposed to be here." "Please, just 5 minutes. I need to explain." "There's nothing to explain. You tried to kill me. You failed. Now you're facing the consequences." Rose starts crying, and for a moment she looks like the little girl she used to be. The little girl who would crawl into my bed during thunderstorms and beg me to make the scary noises go away. "I never meant for it to go that far," she says. "I was just so overwhelmed. Taking care of you was so hard, and I didn't know what else to do." "You could have talked to me. You could have asked for help. You could have treated me like a human being instead of a problem to be solved." I know I messed up, but Mom, I'm your daughter. Doesn't that mean anything?" I look at her for a long moment, this woman who used to be my little girl, this person I sacrificed everything for, who repaid me by trying to murder me. "You stopped being my daughter the day you locked me in that room and left me to die," I tell her. "The Rose I raised would never have done what you did." "I don't know who you are anymore, but you're not my child." Rose's face crumples. "Don't say that, please don't say that. It's the truth. My daughter died somewhere along the way, and you're just wearing her face. I can change. I can be better. Just give me another chance." I shake my head. "You had 71 years of chances. You chose to waste all of them." Rose falls to her knees on my front porch, sobbing like her heart is breaking. Maybe it is. Maybe she's finally understanding what she's lost, what she's thrown away, but it's too late for tears. It's too late for apologies. It's too late for everything except justice. "Goodbye, Rose," I say, and I turn and walk into my house, closing the door on the woman who used to be my daughter. Through the window, I watch her sit on my porch for almost an hour, crying like the world is ending. Maybe her world is ending. Maybe she's finally realizing that some choices can't be undone. Some bridges can't be rebuilt. Some trust can't be repaired. When she finally leaves, I know it's the last time I'll ever see her. Tomorrow, the trial will begin. She'll probably plea bargain and serve a few years in prison. When she gets out, she'll have to rebuild her entire life from nothing. And I'll be here in my house living the life I should have been living all along. Free, independent, surrounded by people who actually care about me. But tell me this, was I too harsh? Or did Rose get exactly what she deserved for trying to murder her own mother? 6 months later, I'm sitting in my garden watching Ben play soccer in his backyard. The trial is over. Rose was convicted on all charges and sentenced to 8 years in prison. She was also ordered to pay me $2.3 million in damages, though she'll probably never have that kind of money again. James divorced her while she was in jail. The Bar Association disbarred her permanently. When she gets out of prison, she'll have to start over with nothing, just like I had to do when David died. The only difference is that I was 19 and had my whole life ahead of me. Rose is 38 and has burned every bridge she ever built. Sometimes I wonder if I was too cruel. Sometimes I lie awake at night and think about the little girl who used to beg me to read her bedtime stories. But then I remember the notebook, the final solution she planned for me, and I know I did what I had to do. The house feels different now, lighter somehow, like a curse has been lifted. I've redecorated Rose's old room and turned it into a library. I spend my afternoons there, reading books I never had time for when I was working 2 jobs to support her dreams. Ben visits me every day after school. We've become best friends, this old woman and this young boy who saved each other. He tells me about his classes, his friends, his hopes for the future. I tell him stories about when his grandmother was young, about a world that existed before he was born. "Mrs. Elena," he asked me yesterday, "do you think your daughter will ever say sorry for real?" I don't know, sweetheart. Some people never learn to say sorry even when they should. If she does, will you forgive her? I thought about that for a long time. Forgiveness isn't about saying the magic words and making everything okay again. It's about understanding that some things can't be fixed, some trust can't be rebuilt. I've forgiven Rose in my heart, but that doesn't mean I want her in my life. Ben nodded like he understood, and maybe he did. Children often understand things better than adults. I've started volunteering at the senior center downtown, helping other elderly people who are being abused by their families. You'd be surprised how common it is, how many sons and daughters see their aging parents as burdens instead of blessings. I use my story, my experience, to help them fight back. Last week, I helped a 78-year-old man whose son was stealing his Social Security checks. The week before, I worked with a grandmother whose daughter was keeping her locked in a basement apartment. Rose wasn't unique. She was just one of thousands of people who think that age equals helplessness. They're all wrong. Harold tells me that my case has become famous in legal circles. Law schools are using it to teach students about elder abuse and financial fraud. The story of the helpless old woman who brought down her abusive daughter has inspired other victims to speak up and fight back. Sometimes justice isn't just about punishing the guilty. Sometimes it's about showing other people that they don't have to accept abuse. Sometimes it's about proving that being old doesn't mean being powerless. Ben graduated from elementary school last month. At the ceremony, they gave him a special award for courage and compassion. When he walked across that stage to accept his medal, I cried like he was my own grandson. After the ceremony, we went out for ice cream to celebrate. Ben ordered chocolate chip cookie dough, his favorite. I ordered vanilla because at 71, I've learned to appreciate simple pleasures. Mrs. Elena, Ben said between bites, when I grow up, I want to be a lawyer, but a good lawyer, not like your daughter. You'll be an excellent lawyer, I told him. You already know the most important thing about justice. What's that? That it's not about being the smartest or the strongest. It's about being brave enough to do what's right, even when it's scary. He smiled at that. Ice cream smudged on his chin, and I realized something that took my breath away. This little boy, this angel who saved my life, had given me something more precious than survival. He'd given me hope. Hope that there are still good people in the world. Hope that kindness isn't dead. Hope that sometimes, just sometimes, the good guys win. 3 months ago, I received a letter from Rose. She's been in prison for almost a year now, and apparently she's had time to think about what she did. The letter was 12 pages long, full of apologies and explanations, and promises to be better. I read it once, then put it in my fireplace and watched it burn. Some apologies come too late. Some bridges, once burned, can never be rebuilt. Some trust, once broken, can never be repaired. Rose made her choices. Now she gets to live with the consequences. As for me, I'm living the life I always deserved. I have my house, my freedom, my dignity, and my chosen family next door. I have enough money to never worry about anything again. I have purpose in helping other victims of elder abuse. Most importantly, I have the knowledge that I survived. I fought back. I won. Rose thought she was dealing with a weak old woman who would just lie down and die when things got difficult. Instead, she discovered that some women get stronger as they get older. Some women learn that survival isn't just about living through something, it's about making sure it never happens to anyone else. I'm Elena Martinez. I'm 71 years old. I was locked in a room and left to die by my own daughter, but I survived because of the kindness of an 8-year-old boy. I fought back, and I won. And if my story can help even one person find the courage to stand up to abuse, then every moment of suffering was worth it. Remember, age is not weakness. Being elderly doesn't mean being helpless. And sometimes, the most powerful weapon you can have is the truth. Thank you for listening to my story. Please like this video if it touched your heart. Share it if you think others need to hear it. Subscribe for more stories of survival and justice. And comment below to let me know where you're watching from and what you think about everything that happened. Your support means everything. Together, we can make sure no one else has to suffer in silence. Until next time, remember, you're stronger than you think, braver than you believe, and you deserve to be treated with dignity and respect, no matter how old you are. Stay strong, stay safe, and never give up fighting for what's right.